Judge, this is set today for a case review, so I ask you to accept the affidavit of efforts submitted by Ms. Bartz in lieu of testimony.
Mr. Jackson, any objection to the admission of affidavit of efforts in lieu of testimony?
Judge, we don't agree with everything that's in the report, but we don't have any problem with you receiving that in lieu of testimony.
Mr. Thorne?
No objection, Judge.
Mr. Marshall? No objection, Your Honor. Mr. Brown? None.
And Judge, I meant specifically in lieu of Ms. Bartz's testimony.
Yes, it's in lieu of the testimony. All right. I'll show that the report accepts the affidavit of efforts in lieu of testimony. Mr. Thorne?
I would like to call Ms. Natalie McKnight to the stand. I think we can do this without testimony. I haven't talked to Mike Jackson about this yet. The juvenile office is going to request that you order Ms. Vaughn to submit to monthly hair follicle tests at EBO and K to be paid for by her for the reason that she does not trust the juvenile office. Has made several suggestions that the juvenile office is somehow tampering with her samples and the outcome of her testing. And the juvenile office has made allegations, she has suggestions that she's manipulating the tests. Since the last time we were here, she's missed some tests. She's been positive on a test or two. She's had some tests at Ferguson Medical Group and sites, but they don't observe. They send you in a room, you pee on your own and come back out, which we feel is problematic. She's also given some pee tests at EBO, I think, at Cape. And sometimes I think they observe, sometimes they don't. Ms. Vaughn is very unhappy with the process at our office because she is observed. We actually had 2 people observing her when she last came so that there would be a backup witness as to what was going on. And again, continues to accuse the juvenile office of tampering with the samples. So we feel that a hair follicle test might be she seems to be comfortable with EBO because she was doing a pee test there. And this would be maybe a less acrimonious way of getting results.
Mr. Jackson?
Judge, first off, we don't agree with the characterization in general as far as the whole issue of and that seems to be the big issue in this case right now is this issue of the drug testing, because Ms. Vaughn has pretty well done everything else that she's been asked to do and pretty well completed what's on her service agreement. In the service agreement that you signed off on the last time we were here, she was allowed to get drug testing done at EBO or at the juvenile office. At some point in time, the juvenile office decided that she should only go to the juvenile office to do her drug testing. It seems kind of odd that in this case, she's passing her test when she has the test done places other than the juvenile office. And when she goes to the juvenile office, they have problems with, we didn't give a good enough sample, or you have something wrong with the sample. And she goes to EBO to get tests done. She's been the last 3 or 4 tests she had done at EBO. They are observed. We confirmed that on the telephone with the person at EBO yesterday at an FST meeting. She knows they have to be observed. At Ferguson, they're not observed. She had 1 test done at Ferguson, was not observed. We've been told that doesn't work, and they won't accept that. So she's going to EBO. She is paying for her test at EBO out of her own pocket. They are observed tests, and I've told her that we need to make sure that they write on the test results that they were observed, so there's no question about that. And the problem she has with the juvenile office is that there seems to be some kind of conflict. And quite frankly, Judge, the way they administer the test to her they're degrading. They make her go in a room with 2 people, put her hands in the air, and they're having her pee into a hat, which they put over the toilet. A hat that's laying up on the counter. It's not any kind of sterile wrapping or anything. It's just a hat laying up on the counter with a bunch of other hats. She's had a couple of tests that were shown as positive on on her list of tests here that when they were sent back to the lab came back as negative, and she's got the proof of that. There's one test that shows as positive that she took at the house one day, that she's got a test result that says it's negative because they said they didn't like the sample she gave. But they actually gave her a sheet the day they took the test that said you passed. She went out the next day and had a test made and passed the test the next day at EBO. So I mean, at this point in time, she's willing to do the 2 times a week, the urine tests at EBO. She's passing those tests. They're observed tests. It's an independent lab. There won't be any question then about whether anything's going on at the juvenile office or about the way they administer their tests there. We think that having her do hair follicle tests, which are more expensive, to have her do that at EBO and to pay for it herself is asking a bit much out of her. If she's passing twice a week her P test, there's no reason to do hair follicle tests.
Judge, in the last order we had, I just read it to me first, the last order said she was to submit a hair follicle test to EBO to be paid for by the division. At the last, Ms. Vaughn has indicated in the past that she refuses to do a hair follicle test, which is why we're here today asking for a hair follicle test.
Your Honor, how often?
Once a month.
Mr. Marshall?
Your Honor, first of all, I guess if the tests that have been taking place are degrading, I would think the hair follicle would be less degrading. Yeah, and it doesn't really matter to me which one is done, but at the family support team meeting, the only concern I had with EBO was EBO did not document that the tests that Ms. Vaughn didn't provide were observed. She placed a phone call to the office while we were at the family support team meeting and told the lady on the phone that I was there and some guy was there and someone watching. The lady verified that it was undocumented, but then she got back on the phone and said, well, I talked to some guy and he was unnamed. He said, yeah, that Ms. Vaughn had come in and someone had observed it. That was their verification. And even Ms. Vaughn, as degrading as it may be, she did yesterday at the family support team meeting offered video. She videoed herself, I guess, going for the test. I didn't watch the video, but she was playing it on the phone, and that was her verification. So that's.
Judge, if I could address that.
And Your Honor, at the meeting, the juvenile office did offer to pay for the hair follicle tests as well. They and Children's Division, I think, had offered to split the cost and told Ms. Vaughn that it would be no cost to her to do the hair follicle.
I was wrong about the charging for the judge. If we're agreeing to pay for it, we'll pay for it. Children's Division, we will.
First off, Judge, I mean, she did call EBO yesterday, and the lady went and confirmed that the tests had been observed, and she says the tests were observed. The video she had was not of her peeing. It was a test of her being in a room with somebody while she was giving the test. That was her way of saying, hey, there was somebody in the room with me observing me. But we can make sure when she goes to EBO, you can tell them when she goes in, you need to write on your results that this was an observed test because the court requires that. And I don't think there's going to be any problem whatsoever with that. The other thing that's not being mentioned here, Judge, is that the 2 little girls, I think Mom and Dad are about to work something out on their custody arrangement. We're probably going to get that problem solved with the oldest child. The 2 little girls are with Grandma. And we agreed in the FST meeting that the team agreed that she would start getting some supervised contact with the girls with Grandma instead of getting an hour a week at the DFS office, which hasn't worked that well because somebody's on vacation or somebody's got other things going. She's going to get initially 4 hours, I think, this week with the girls under the supervision of her mother, who's the relative placement with the girls. She's been told that if you pass 2 drug tests, then we'll up it to 5 hours the next week, and then we'll up it to 6 hours the next week, and we'll up it an hour a week as long as she's passing drug tests. And she's willing to keep doing the drug tests at EBO, and she says she's going to keep passing those tests. And then it's been represented to us that when she gets to 9-10 hours of supervised contact, that we can start looking at some unsupervised contact. So the regular drug tests, the weekly drug tests that she's taking are important to that scheme that we've developed where she's going to have this stepped up contact with her kids. And the monthly hair follicle tests do nothing to advance that plan. So we don't see any reason that if she's passing 2 times a week, observed tests at EBO, an independent lab, we don't see any need to be doing monthly hair follicle tests on top of that. And certainly not that she would pay for.
I agree. What were you wanting on the hair follicles?
Once a month. And Judge, if you were leaning, I don't know which way you're leaning, but if you were leaning towards allowing the P-test at EBO, we would like them, in addition to that, to have at least a once monthly hair follicle test. We'd like for the first one to be within the next, by the close of business Friday this week. So within the next 24 hours, basically.
And with the hair follicle test, what are you requesting for submission of your analysis to the juvenile office?
I think there's too much discord with our office and her for it to be, we're never going to get past the pointing fingers at who's doing the cheating on the test, whether it's our office or her. If we have a hair follicle to back up the EBO tests, and if they're going to actually supervise and document their supervising, I guess that would be fine with our office.
Mrs. Fox?
In regards to payment for the hair follicle, the juvenile office and children's division, which one of the costs will pay for 1 month for the other test.
Is there anything else we need to, anything else about the affidavit of records?
Judge, she did mention that she's got a little bit of problem with her taking a chunk out of her hair every month, but if that's what you're going to order, that's what she needs to do to prove that she's not using. I guess I may have a concern too about, I've always been a little bit fuzzy about just what hair follicle tests show and how far back they go. And if she comes up, let's say she takes one before the close of business tomorrow and it shows something positive on the hair follicle test, how far back does that go? Does that go back 6 months? Does that go back 90 days? Can we pinpoint on the hair where that is and when she last used and how much she used? And I mean, that may be an issue when if she's passing 2 times a week a urine test, an observed test by an approved independent laboratory, then it seems to me that that would be sufficient.
We've had significant enough problems, we just want to know where we are right now. And the hair follicle test will tell us that. She claims she's been clean for quite some time. That'll confirm that. That's great. Makes everybody happy.
Nothing else in here about, on the affidavit of evidence, nothing else that you want to bring up about this case at all, is that right?
I think, from what I understand, Judge, that seems to be the real sticking point in getting this case moving forward at this point is this drug testing issue.
Judge, we just want to make sure that she gets tested and that the tests are legitimate tests. I don't know what EPO is, or if the
EBO.
EBO?
Is bullying.
And if the juvenile court and the DCS believe that that's a legitimate place for a test to be taken, we don't have any problem with that. We just want to make sure she's tested and she's a legitimate test. From what we've read in the affidavit of evidence, it seems like there's one, she hasn't shown up for a lab testing, and 2, one test indicates that she popped, she gave a substance that wasn't exactly urine. So, that gives us concern that she's not being tested. If she's not being tested, that makes us concerned that she's still using it.
Is there anything else in relation to the remainder of the affidavit of evidence?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Marshall?
Nothing with the affidavit, Your Honor, just, I think I should mention, again, it doesn't matter to me, but the Children's Division at the meeting yesterday requested more than one hair follicle test, because if the first one did show something, the second hair follicle test that showed the levels were going down, that way they would know whatever happened in the past, if it was 6 months in the past, the levels were dropping. That was brought up at the meeting yesterday as far as hair follicle tests.
Court findings will be placed on the record in writing. The court orders that the children shall continue to be worked in the building scheduled for?
Judge, I think I had told Ms. McKnight on October 5th previously, but I looked at the milestone, and I think we actually need to have that on September 21st.
September 21st. And I don't, as far as mom coming into the juvenile office and to submit your analysis, that's out the door. As far as mom going into the private, or, I get, what do you want to do? You want to take your own test at home and tell us how it came out?
Your Honor,
How to do that?
I have no problem taking a urine test in front of somebody. EBO, I do it. I would go to any facility that follows the law on the legal ways on how to give an actual urine test, not with unsanitary, not contaminated, out in the open, stacked up hats that anyone can use. For all I know, they rinse out and stick back up there and use for the next person. According to the laws and the way that the FDA approves a legal drug screen is not the way they do their procedures. Technically, their drug screens are not legal drug screens. So I want to actually give a legal drug screen at any facility.
Okay. We're going to just take that off the table. If you want to continue to pay for private urinalysis, you certainly can. That's your prerogative.
The EBO is
I'm
sorry.
That the Children's Division will, Children's Division along with the juvenile office shall alternate hair follicle tests once a month. Get those scheduled. We'll get, I agree with Mr. Jackson in that first test is going to be, we don't know. But the second subsequent test will that'll create a baseline for us. And then the second subsequent test, we should be able to track and see the diminishment. As long as there's not current usage, then the private test you've been taking panned out. Doesn't work out that way, it stands to say that maybe the tests that the juvenile office weren't all bad. I don't know. The proof will be in the pudding once we get those.
And this is the start reading, Judge?
This is the start immediately. This test will be administered by tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to try to get this sped up for you as fast as possible. The reason why I do it by tomorrow is we've got to get that baseline for you.
Okay.
All right. Anything further, Mr. Jackson?
Judge, there was one thing that wasn't mentioned here is that